Hello, happy Saturday. We are back at the garden, and today I'm sure that there's a lot we could do. Last week I was gonna replant and I didn't get around to it. We'll see if my mind changed and I'm gonna do it actually for real this time today. But I would like to take a look at the cantaloupe. Last week I had picked about four of them and none of them were quite ready, so I was a little bummed about that, but there's also so many in there that I am not that worried about it. Looks like there might be just a small handful of tomatoes and maybe a couple peppers that I could harvest today. And then other than that, we're going to tackle the weeds. So, there's so many bees. There's always so many bees. Okay. So the weeds are bad. Yeah, there's really nothing I can say for myself other than they're bad. I wasn't keeping up with it, and here it is. But my mom and I are going to tackle that together, I hope. But it does look like we do have one cabbage. So I replanted this 2 or 3 weeks ago, and nothing has come up basically at all, except it looks like we have, well, definitely the marigolds. The marigolds did come up, and it looks like we might have one cabbage and like 2 heads of lettuce, maybe a few more. I'll have to do some digging around in those weeds, but I believe that is cabbage, and there's like lots of weeds around it, but I believe that that one is cabbage. We have our line of marigolds with a lot of weeds around them. Yeah, okay, we have some lettuce. It's kind of random. Like there's one over in there. Okay, so like a very moderate amount of lettuce came up. I guess that's a positive. We pulled out the beans last week, and yes, need to pick some tomatoes. So we also cut a bunch of the tomato branches back and gave some more airflow down by the stems. It looks like a lot of the straw that we had put at the bases of the plant has just kind of like blown off. So that's not ideal. Maybe we'll have to get some more of that at some point. I don't know how long these tomato plants are going to go, but we'll see. Anyways, we got a couple tomatoes to pick. Looks like maybe 3 good ones here. The yellow one. Ooh, there's a couple in here. I'm surprised that there's no cherry tomatoes to pick right now. That's okay. Peppers are going nuts. So this is one of the Anaheim plants, and just like, look at that. I don't really know if they're ready or how you know that they're ready. But I think I'm just gonna pick some because I've heard that if you start picking them, they start reproducing more. So I'm gonna do that. This plant has a few, but not quite as massive and aggressive as that other one on the end. We've got a couple peppers that we could pick today. I didn't eat my ones from last week yet. I just hadn't gotten around to it, but all right. And as far as planting, if we plant today, I have some different lettuce varieties. Probably have still some seeds from the last time that I tried to plant. And then I have radishes that I would really like to plant. So they're actually right in my pocket right now. Lettuce, radishes, spinach. So I think I need to go grab some tools and wait for my mom because, well, I mean, I won't wait for her. I'll start, but she'll be a very big help in this project. But while I'm standing over here, I kind of want to peruse the cantaloupes and see if there's any that look like they might be a little bit more done. Oh boy, there's just a lot of bees in here, so it always stresses me out. Oop. Like that bumblebee. Just like, get out of here. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's one little guy. There's another one behind it. There's one that kind of looks ready right up in here, but there's a bee that I don't want to piss off. If I just go this way. He's just following me right now. Hey, little bee. Ooh, okay. All right, I'll take the hint. You're pollinating. You're doing your job. Okay, but I really want to see this one. Where is it? Where'd it go? It's like right up in here. Okay. Don't want to step on a melon. Like that. That looks ready. Oh, it just popped off. So whether it was ready or not doesn't really matter. Okay. I was told that if you sniff it, it should smell fruity. Hold on. Kind of just smells like dirt. Oh no, I definitely smell it. Oh my goodness. That does smell sweet. Okay, I feel like this one's actually ready. Yay. Yeah, that smells really good. That smells exactly like cantaloupe. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna put him over here. Oop. We'll see if there's any others we can get to. I hope it's not rotten. It does have a little bit of a crack in it. Well, what can you do? See if I can find any more in here that look quite like that. The thing is that the ones I had picked last week, so this one's very much not a lot of green on it, whereas last week the under part was still very green on the ones I got, so I probably should have known, but I was just excited. Hard not to be when this is the plant you've been looking forward to the whole time and there's just so many of them. But from what I'm able to see from my sky view, I'm not seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot, but I'm not seeing a lot that are quite that color yet. I know I'm missing some because how on earth are you even supposed to see them all when there's just like so much plant coverage? But I'm trying to get a good view. There's one in there that I kind of think could be. I'm a little scared. I'm sorry, Bee. I know I'm irritating you. Well, I don't want to step on any. Oh, that one kind of looks good. There's another good one right here. Oh, gosh, I just don't like the sound of the crunching when I'm. Oh, I should probably pull this one out from between the planks. Oh, it's stuck in there. That's really funny. Well, oops. Dang it. Okay, well, the one I'm trying to determine if it's ready is this one. Let's see if I can sniff it. Not quite. Alright, that's enough tearing it up in here. Let's get to the weeds. And by get to the weeds, I mean let's put off the weeds a little bit longer because I want to pick some tomatoes. Oh, that looks beautiful. That might be the best looking tomato that I've picked so far. This one does not look as beautiful, but I could probably cut that spot out. Oh. Two really good looking tomatoes. That's great. We have a couple more in here. Oh, dang it. Not the best looking, but I'll show you my pretty ones. These ones look really good. And then two of these. Not much so with last week's tomatoes that I picked, I was able to cut them up and put them, use the, what is that called? Thing that sucks all the air out of the bags and then you can seal it or whatever, and then I froze them. With these, there's not gonna be enough, but I think I will eat these fresh and share one with my dad, maybe.
And now, from here on out, you get voiceover Maddie, because there's one problem with my camera is that there's like a button on the top that switches from video to camera or to photo and then to slow-mo. And I accidentally hit slow-mo. When you're in slow-mo, it does not record audio. So anyways, here I am giving you a beautiful voiceover. We're looking at the pepper plants and we're going to go ahead and pick some. So I found two off the first plant and then a couple more on the other sweet pepper plant. That's a pretty good harvest. I hadn't yet tried them, but I just cracked one open the other day and added it to a salad and it was phenomenal. Now I'm digging around in the Anaheims and I smelled it because it does smell a little warmer than the ones that I had picked previously. So I thought that was a good sign for me to go ahead and grab a few. Plus this plant was just toppling over with peppers. It's so big. I probably would cage them if I was going to do peppers again next year because they just get a little bit bigger than I thought that they were going to. And so I think a cage would really help keep these peppers up off the ground and maybe make them grow a little healthier. However, I will say this plant is just kind of outrageous and it's doing its thing. So we'll just let it go and see what happens. We've been trying to tie it to that wood stake in the center, but because there's so many peppers and the peppers are so heavy, it just kind of has the plant leaning over a little bit. And just as I was wrapping up harvesting, my mom came over to help me with pulling weeds. And so she started with pulling over by our single cabbage plant and kind of uncovering that section of the garden. And I went and got a hoe and started removing the weeds from the other side of the garden where there are virtually no plants. As I'm digging through these weeds, though, I do find a small handful of lettuce that I did not know was there. And it's kind of curious how they came up, because I think I planted them around a month ago and nothing was coming up at all. And then now suddenly there's a bunch of smaller lettuce plants, and a bunch is crazy, probably like 5 or so lettuce plants that are coming up in between these weeds. So I'm wondering how those seeds held out long enough to just now start germinating. It's kind of a miracle. But anyways, here is Mom and I really busting our butts on all of these weeds. And I really can't thank her enough for helping with this, because honestly, when I first got out to the garden and I saw all of the weeds taking over all of the garden, I was like, I don't even want to garden today. It's just overwhelming. But once we got into it, it really wasn't that bad, because the soil was not hard. It was kind of loose. And so the weeds really came out super easy. So it wasn't as much of a awful chore as I thought it was going to be. You just have to get in there and get started. And I'm really lucky to have my mom helping me with this, because without her, I may not have mustered up any motivation to do the things that we did do today. So thanks, Rob. Shout out to you. Now that we got the majority of the weeds taken care of and we've uncovered all of our beautiful marigold plants and the small handful of lettuce, I went ahead and got the tiller going. Well, I tried to. You're going to watch me struggle and fight with this tiller. It's actually funny because it started right up on the first pull, but then it wouldn't keep going. So I fought with it for quite a while before I kind of threw my hands up and waited for my mom to help me again, because this was frustrating. I will say the original audio on this part was quite hilarious because we kept doing the wrong thing over and over, but when we finally got it, it just took right off and worked like a charm like it did last time. This is a 50-year-old tiller. My grandma was very proud of it because we had got it started up 4 weeks ago when we planted the last time. It is bittersweet to be running this machine one last time in this garden and planting seeds in the soil for one final time as well. If you're new here, you may not know this, but if you have been following along and watched my last video, then you know that I garden in my grandma's yard every week, and my grandma did pass away a few weeks back, and so it's a little bit emotional to be out here each week and continuing to tend to her yard and her garden, but also I'm very grateful for it because it makes me feel very close to her, and it also makes me feel like I'm carrying out a little bit of her legacy, as gardening is what she loved to do, and I love it because she taught me how to love it. So here we are, finally getting that tiller going, and it just goes so fast once you get it moving. I almost run myself over every time I put it in reverse. But it's super satisfying to have all of this soil kind of turned over and the weeds mostly gotten rid of and all ready to go to put new seeds in the ground. So what I had planted about a month ago was mostly just a bunch of varieties of lettuce, a variety of spinach, some marigolds, some cabbage, and carrots and green onions. And of that, a couple heads of lettuce and one cabbage have come up. So what I decided to buy and replant today are a couple more varieties of lettuce, a packet of spinach, and then 2 different kinds of radishes. In this row that I'm currently digging a little trench for, I am putting some leafy lettuce. It is like a green and purple leaf mix, and so I'm just kind of really heavily sowing these seeds because I just want them to come up, and I know we're not going to have time to plant again. So I'm hoping that because I sowed the seeds kind of thick, we will get at least a few more heads of lettuce coming up in the near future. We are about a little under 2 months away from what will probably be our first frost, which is predicted to be around October 1st in our zone. I am not 100% sure what the zone number is for the area of Nebraska that we are in, but when I looked up what our first frost is going to be, it said probably October 1st, so I'm going off of that. So I'm hoping that we can even get a harvest before then, but if we don't, it will not be the end of the world. We did get a bunch of beautiful harvest from this garden this year, and that is a blessing in and of itself. And we're going to continue to get tomatoes, peppers, and hopefully cantaloupe as the season continues. But in this second row, I went ahead and planted some spinach. I enjoyed our first round of spinach. Actually, my grandma had planted 2 things in this garden this year. She had planted potatoes and spinach at the very beginning of the season, and that was some of my favorite stuff that we harvested. Honestly, the potatoes I'd never done before, and it was so fun to watch those come up. So anyways, I got the spinach in the ground, and then I did 2 different kinds of radishes. One of them was like a red radish, and the other one is like a white radish that's shaped like a carrot, which I think is unique. But I planted these mostly for my mom. I like radishes enough, but she probably will eat them more than I. So really hoping that they come up, because a lot of the other stuff in this garden my mom is not a fan of. So hoping to be able to have some to share with her, as she puts in a lot of time and effort and help in this garden as well. But the fun was not over yet. We decided that we were going to plant a couple more cabbages, which we're definitely pushing our luck on, because I don't think that they will be fully ready to harvest by the time our first frost does come. But my mom put these little black planter, I don't even know what these are called, we put one around our first cabbage that's already started growing, and then she put a couple more in the ground where I threw some seeds in as well, so that hopefully we might get a few more cabbages. What I would like to do with these cabbages is make homemade runzas, but I also would like to just make some runza mix to have in the freezer, so that later on in the winter I can throw together some more individual runzas as the winter goes on. I think that would be a really good use of this vegetable. And now that we've got our final seeds planted, we went ahead and watered them in. This is a very important step. You don't want to throw out seeds and not put any water on them, because that would threaten the germination rate quite a bit. So we put some water on these seeds and hope for the best for them. Well, that about does it for today. We were able to harvest a handful of tomatoes, a cantaloupe, and a few peppers, and we weeded the garden, retilled it, and planted seeds for one final time. This was a peaceful and relaxing day in the garden, as always, and I'm super thankful that I get to continue to spend time out here and spend time with my mom working on this labor of love, and that is an understatement, because there is a lot that goes into this, and especially a lot that goes into it when I'm not around. So again, shout out to Rob for all of your help keeping my garden alive when I'm not there. But anyways, if you'd like to share in the comments how you got into gardening, I'd be really interested in learning more of your stories. I got into gardening from my grandma, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. She is a huge motivator in why I enjoy planting seeds and watching those seeds grow into plants that I can later harvest and enjoy the fruits of the labor. So I'm curious what your motivation is. If it is a person that inspired you, or a particular plant that got you wanting to plant it and garden, or if something else brought you to gardening, I would be really interested to hear those stories in the comments below. We've really been creating a wonderful community here in my channel, and as it continues to grow, I want to continue to build a strong community and hear more from you all. So as you may know, I recently celebrated my first 100 subscribers, which is a huge deal to me, and I'm so very grateful for each and every one of you for spending some time with me as I'm out in the garden, and I hope that it brings you just a little bit of the peace that it brings me to be out here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to stick around to see what's growing, what's not, and what we have to replant, please think about hitting the subscribe button and continuing to support me as we see if any of the seeds that we planted today decide that they want to come up. It's been a pleasure spending time with you today, and I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me as we did these garden chores today. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'm sure some of you might even be starting school this week or have kiddos starting school this week. So I hope, even in the chaos and amidst the craziness of this back to school season, or even just planting out a fall garden, I hope that you find some peace and quiet in the small moments. Again, thank you so much for watching. Take care.